So, was there a moment that inspired you to become a motivational speaker?
So being a motivational speaker, Rachel, wasn't even in the back of my mind. It never even crossed my mind because my senior year in college, like every other senior in college, what are you going to do with your life with
Mhm.
that degree? Like, what are you going to do? And so my dad had worked in athletic administration at Michigan State for over 26 years. He was the deputy athletic director, which is just a step below athletic director. So I had done all sorts of great things when my dad was at Michigan State and went to all these great events. I went to a lot of Final Fours, a lot of bowl games, was around Michigan State football and basketball players my whole life. And so just seeing what my dad did, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to go into the family business, if you will. And so I started taking class. I took a couple classes my senior year on how to do event management, how to work game days. So I worked a few football Saturdays at Michigan State, worked some volleyball games, softball games for event management. And so, but then it wasn't until mlive.com, which is a big news site here in the state of Michigan, going into my last game at Michigan State senior day against Ohio State, mlive.com wrote an article about me, a senior day feature about me being on the autism spectrum. And it was kind of like the first time ever my story went public. And it ended up being a really big deal, not just around the state, but for those around the country as well. And our lieutenant governor at the time, Brian Cowley, he was trying to get the autism legislation bill passed for insurance companies to cover um, autism resources and autism treatments for families who needed them. So during that time, he has a young daughter, Reagan, who's on the spectrum. And so during that time, Brian had heard about my story. And then he keynoted our basketball banquet a couple days after our senior night. And not even a day went by, and his office called my parents' house asking me if I would keynote this autism gala in Detroit, later on that spring in April. And of course, I didn't think about it at the time because, we were just starting tournament play. We were going to the Big Ten tournament. Then we were going to start the NCAA tournament. So the only thing on my mind was I want to get back to the Final Four. I want to try and win a national championship. And then we had lost in the tournament. And then I remember telling my mom after the game, I said, "Hey, Mom, you call the lieutenant governor's office and tell them I'm in. I'm all in. Like, I'll do the keynote." But I never done a keynote my entire life. You know, I wouldn't even count classroom speeches as keynotes because that's in front of your classmates, your friends, your teachers. And so, but
How many people were at this event?
about 500 people were at this gala. So the most I've ever spoken in front of is probably those 20, 30 people in classes and whatnot. But these weren't just like, these were legislators at this event. These were professionals. People from Ford and GM were at this thing. So it was a really big deal. Um, so I worked with my learning specialist at Michigan State. We met like twice a week. And so all she and I did like for 2 weeks straight was just work on this speech. And so I remember I did the speech. It was like 9, 10 minutes long. I got a great ovation to it, great reaction. And I remember driving my wife home that night. And I said to her, babe, I think I know what I'm supposed to do now. And she said to me, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, other than Temple Grandin, who's maybe one of the most famous individuals in the world with autism, I said, other than her, I said, name me somebody else like that in the autism community who's a big role model, an icon, and a leader that people look up to in the autism community. Other than her, try to name somebody else for me right now. And it was 30 minutes of silence. She couldn't name anybody. And I looked at her and I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to go be that person. I'm going to go be that guy. I'm going to go be that leader, that role model, and that inspiration that the community can look up to. And so from that day forward, that's how I got into motivational speaking
Hmm.
was because of our lieutenant governor, because of that gala. And then 2 months later, the nonprofit organization who hosted, who hosted the gala hired me to do um, autism and anti-bullying advocacy work. And then 2.5 years later, the Michigan Department of Civil Rights hired me to bring on the anti-bullying initiative that I currently run now. So it was amazing how things fell into place. But
Hmm.
after asking my wife that question, name me somebody else than Temple Grandin who does this and who's a big inspiration for the community. When she couldn't name anybody, that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to go. That's my path then. I'm going to go be that person.
You've been watching Autism Knows No Borders. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so let us know what you think in the comments section. Click here to watch this interview in its entirety. You can also find us on your favorite podcast app. Tune in each week for engaging conversations of how people across the globe are inspiring change and building community. Thanks for watching. Take care.